Tell you what, we had some good luck with those elephants in the previous lesson. Let's continue that. Open up 713_357312.4.jpg. That's the locator number at Photospin if you're interested in this particular image. Let's talk about color tinting an image. Like maybe this image was not taken probably just a year or two ago. It was taken 100 years ago in the wild, and I want to make it look older by putting a tint on it. Now, we could do it two ways, actually about four ways, but I'm going to show you two. Both of them are non-destructive, which to me is very important. The first one is with the use of adjustment layers. So with our image selected right here, come down here and click this button here if you want to do it this way, and actually go into black and white, or you can use the buttons up here if you want to. Doesn't matter. And we have what's called a black and white non-destructive adjustment layer. Absolutely love that. Up here, you have some defaults on black and white. The image is staying in black and white. As a matter of fact, if you are converting an image into shades of gray, this would be one of the best ways to do it because you have all the control in the world. And if you don't like any of these presets up here, you can basically come down here and begin playing around with it yourself. You can do anything you want to. We want a tint. So if you click this button right here, by default, what it's going to give you is more or less a sepia type of tint. But the cool thing is, if that's not exactly what you're looking for, what you can do is come over here and begin making your own adjustments. You say, why are we dealing with color? Because the color's still there. It just mixed into shades of gray. Those channels are still there, and we can still manipulate them and achieve our very own tinted look to this particular image. Now, if you click this button right here, basically you can then choose, well, any color that you want. You say, well, honey, that's a little bit intense, and I agree, but let's leave it there for a second and click OK. Let's say we like the tint, but it's too intense of a tint. One of the things that you can do, because this is an adjustment layer, is come over here to opacity in the layer itself and lower the opacity of that layer. Now, if you keep going, you're back to the color. So here's the problem with doing this. If you like the tint, but it's too aggressive, so you're lowering it down by clicking over here and dragging, you are beginning to introduce color back into this image because the transparency of the layer is allowing that to happen. And I don't want any color. I want tint, but not so much. So here's a trick if you do it this way. Go back to background. Go back to our little button half moon here and go into black and white again. Okay, what you've done is you're filtering the tint through this one, which interprets that image as being in shades of gray. Now, the cool thing is, if you have this one selected here, you can then come up here and, well, we could try some of the defaults. We could begin changing its definition of black and white before it gets to our tinted filter and get exactly the result you want. Now, the only reason you really need this one is if you are changing the opacity of this one and allowing that color to come through. This one's in the middle, blocking the color for you. But it also gives you the additional feature of being able to adjust the black and white before it gets to the tint. Let's do this. Let's get rid of these two just by pressing the delete key, and that's the delete key on a Macintosh system and the backspace key in Windows. I wish somebody would get these keys together. Let's close this out. Let me show you another way that's a little bit old school, but it does work. If you want to tint this image, create a new layer directly above the one you want to tint. We only have one. So click the new button right here. Now come over here and choose the color that you want to tint it with. Now I'm going to use one of these down here, like one of these light sepias. Now that changes over here my foreground color. And I want to fill that layer with that color. The shortcut is different on Mac and Windows, but it's the same keys. If you're on a Macintosh, hold down the Option key and press Delete. If you're on a Windows system, hold down the Alt key and press Backspace. And it's going to fill. It's just a quick way to do it. Now, to tint it, all you have to do now is go up to the word Normal, which is the blending modes. Love these things. And come down and select Color. That's it. Now, if you want to reduce the color some, you can use opacity like we did before, but you will have some trouble bringing the color back in if you do that. This way isn't as perfect as doing it the other way. It's more of an old school method for tinting an image. It can be any color you want. If you come back over here again and choose one of these sepia browns here, and then press those same shortcut keys, we can change it, and we can keep playing around and decide what we like and stop when we're happy. Both ways are, of course, non-destructive, and I will admit the one that uses the two adjustment layers to me gives you a whole lot more control. But if you're just looking for a down and dirty way to kind of put a tint on an image, this way is not that bad either. Just remember a layer above filled with a color and using the color blending mode. It's pretty easy to remember.